One is your fellow Texan, Sheila Jackson Lee, has proposed a commission to study reparations. If that passes and you are President of the United States, would you sign that bill?
Yes.
No, I don't think there's a concern, but it's natural when you have so many people with vision and so forth. We must fight that on the front end and not on the back end.
What did you make of Beto?
I was profoundly impressed. He was very knowledgeable of the history of our issues. He seemed very committed to our issues. He has charisma, he has presence, and I think he has possibility.
What are the top issues that you think candidates have to address here today? Is there any baseline?
I think reparations is one.
Yes. Yes.
Reparations is one.
They have to support
They have to support the idea. They have to be concerned about health care. They have to be concerned about education and prison reform. These are the fundamental issues that
Can you say that again, looking this way?
I said there are four fundamental issues that we have: reparations,
Yes.
education,
Yes.
health care, and prison reform.
Great list.
And what about reforming the courts, especially family court and ACS?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
More cameras than I've ever seen in my business before.
Why was it important for you to be here today?
Well, the African American community is going to get hit even harder than other Americans by the fact that we're automating away the most common jobs in our economy. So it was a great chance for me to introduce myself and wake people up to the fact that it's not immigrants that are causing these economic disruptions throughout America. It's that technology is
A little louder.
the technology is moving us to a place where more and more Americans are going to struggle to get by.
Many eyes are on the Mueller investigation, sir. Do you have confidence in Attorney General Barr?
To me, job one is to get Donald Trump out of office by beating him at the ballot box. And so, to me, the Mueller report was something that, I obviously was looking at like other Americans, but I never thought that it was going to be the key driver of what moves America forward.
What do you make of the accusations against
I don't really have anything unique to offer on the discussion about Joe Biden and his interactions with other people.
It really help you if you stayed out?
I'm of the opinion that the more candidates that run, the better it is for America, the better it is for my campaign. Because as something of a political outsider, frankly, the more crowded the field is, the better it is for me.
What goes on from here?
the most? Which candidate you fear the most?
Well, I'm going to quote Donald Trump. If you heard Donald Trump at a rally, he said what worries him the most is a new candidate coming out of nowhere. And that, I'm going to suggest, may resemble Andrew Yang more closely than it does many other candidates.
What's your position on reparations? Your position on reparations?
This country was 100% built on the backs of slaves.
Shay.
And then we need to look very, very seriously at what that means in terms of moving America forward. But I read Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm a big fan, and it's compelling.
Herman Jackson says that reparations really good reform. Do you agree that it should be that high up on the list?
Well, everyone knows that my flagship policy proposal is the freedom dividend of $1,000 per American adult every month starting at age 18, and this would have a disproportionate impact on African American communities where they have lower access to both education and economic opportunity. So we start there.
Go into a little bit more about that. What's your plan on that to fund it?
One second. On Biden, you seem to not directly answer the question. Do you think it's disqualifying these allegations and these stories from coming out?
I think that's up to people. It's up to the American people. What people believe. I certainly don't find it to be disqualifying, but other people will have their own opinion.
But do you believe the minimum compliance?
I have absolutely no reason to not believe any woman who comes forward with a description of an interaction, how it made them feel.
So what do you say to those who are following? What would be disqualifying? What would be disqualifying?
certainly nothing I've seen or heard about Joe Biden would be anywhere remotely near disqualifying in my opinion.
What's your right line?
You know, and it's a sort of thing where I'm not going to get into hypotheticals about like what someone could do. I mean, obviously there's certain things they could do that would be disqualifying, but like I certainly don't think any of this comes to that level.
Well, what do you say to people who are struggling with sexual assault and trying to come out and say their story? What do you say to those people?
Well, you know, I think that it's obviously a serious problem and it's underreported in most every instance. You know, for anyone who comes forward, there are probably a dozen people that have had a similar experience that we never hear from. And so that's one reason we have to take the stories very, very seriously each and every time.
Thank you. Subcommittee of the court system to stop judges' unfair rulings and bringing people in the process. How are you going to stop failure to process and corruption in the court system?
Oh, we have to get rid of pre-trial cash bail in as many situations as we can, because right now thousands of Americans are going to jail essentially for being poor.
Exactly.
Because they can't make bail. And then they're getting forced into plea deals that they would never have taken because they're sitting in a jail cell because they can't afford bail. So I would get rid of private prisons. I would get rid of this pre-trial cash bail system that essentially criminalizes poverty. I would legalize marijuana. I would put a body camera on every police officer. There are many, many things that we can do to make our country more fair and just.
How do you support your $1,000 plan?
The way we pay for this $1,000 a month plan, if you look up, who are going to be the big winners from artificial intelligence? It's going to be Amazon and the mega tech companies. And how much did they pay in taxes last year? Amazon paid $0. So what we need to do is we need to put a new plan in place to get African American communities and Americans around the country the benefits from all this new technology. We need to pass a value-added tax that would get Americans a sliver of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every Facebook ad, and return that money to the American people, which would then strengthen our communities and our economies, build a trickle-up economy from our people and families up instead of from the top down.
So use this one for free high schools and colleges and free medical schools.
We're going through a crisis in affordability of education right now, where college has gotten 2.5 times more expensive, even though it has not changed in quality. And there are a lot of reasons for that, but we need to get those prices down because we're up to $1.5 trillion in school loans that are crushing the next generation. And as president, I would forgive a significant proportion of that student loan debt, because our young people should not be living in their parents' basement paying off phantom loans. They should be buying homes, starting families, and starting businesses, and that's what would happen if I were president.
Do you think $1,000 a month for every American citizen pays for slavery?
Of course not.
Well, the $1,000 a month going on that, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to fund that?
So the value-added tax that I just described at half the European level, because our economy is so vast at $20 trillion, up $5 trillion in the last 12 years, a value-added tax at even half the European level generates $800 billion in new revenue. That $800 billion plus current spending, plus the economic growth from putting $1,000 a month into every American's hands, plus the health and education benefits of having a stronger, healthier population, plus cost savings on things like incarceration and homelessness services and emergency room health care are enough to pay for a dividend of $1,000 per American adult per year. I've done the math, and you can look at me and you know I've done the math.
Do you think America's ready to elect another businessman?
Well, if you look at my background, I spent the last 7 years running a nonprofit that I started that helped create several thousand jobs around the Midwest and the South in cities like Detroit, Birmingham, St. Louis, Baltimore. So when you talk about a businessman, Donald Trump's a bad president because he's a bad president. But other entrepreneurs know that Donald Trump is not a real entrepreneur. He's a marketing charlatan. He gives entrepreneurs a bad name. So what we need is someone with a vision that's going to improve the lives of tens of millions of Americans. And to me, many Americans do not care what that candidate's background is. They will want someone in office who's going to actually improve things on the ground for them and their families.
What's your position on patriots that are currently in exile that fought for the principles of this country, like Snowden and Assata Shakur? Would you take the bounties off their head and welcome them back?
You know, I mean, each situation is different, but I would be very open to taking the bounty off of the heads of people that were essentially whistleblowers and pointed out bad actions.
And freedom fighters.
What kind of job are you going to get?
So the great thing about putting $1,000 a month into Americans' hands is it creates 2 million new jobs right there in their towns and communities. Because what Americans would spend it on, they would spend it on tutoring for their kids, trips to the hardware store, food, healthcare bills, tuition, and all that money would recirculate several times throughout the economy, and each of those local businesses would then have to hire more people in an accessible way. This is our path forward in an economy where, again, we're going to automate away the most common jobs. We're in the third inning of the greatest economic and technological transformation in the history of our country, and we need to wake up. It is not immigrants, it is technology.
There's been a lot of
to make it to the debate.
Sorry?
What do you need the most right now to the debate?
I just qualified for the DNC primary debates. I'll be there in Miami at the end of June. I'll be in Detroit at the end of July. And I just got a CNN town hall that will be on CNN on Sunday, April 14th at 8 p.m. So please do tune in. But the reality is that there is nothing stopping the majority of citizens of a democracy from voting ourselves a dividend of $1,000 per month. Alaska has already done this, and Alaska is a deep red conservative state. It's been in effect for almost 40 years. It is wildly popular, has created thousands of jobs, has improved children's health, and has decreased income inequality. And what they're doing in Alaska with oil money, we can do for all Americans with technology money.
There's a lot of reaction to what President Trump said about Democrats.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good luck. Good luck.
Sorry I came in through the back door. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.